Hey everybody, I'm Tin Tim. That's T-I-N as in never gonna say goodbye, no. T-I-M as in ma ma ma. At the special request of Katana Rei, Boy with Brushes on YouTube. This is coming from last week's topic at Queens of the Week, one of my favorite YouTube channels. The topic was, with the popularity of shows like Drag Race and Drag U, drag is starting to come more into the limelight and become more mainstream and accepted. Do you like this trend? Are you excited for acceptance of drag, even though it may mean an overcrowded market? Will it lose some of its appeal and charm as it progresses? Drag going mainstream, good or bad? With art forms that have been around for as long as drag has, I think there are always cycles of popularity, so I don't think it's necessarily like, a progressive thing where drag is being more and more accepted. It's a little bit safer to do drag, but I think that, the popularity of things like drag is cyclical. Eventually we'll be on the other end of this curve of popularity and there'll be another lull. A lot of what interests me is outsider art and very transgressive art, and I think what gets considered outsider and transgressive may change a lot based on the context and what's more or less challenging or threatening to the dominant culture during a given time. A lot of what I love is unlikely to ever be mainstream, so here in Chicago, the kind of drag I do is definitely outside of the mainstream norm here. The mainstream drag culture here is much more of a pretty girl culture than what I do. But what I find is that no matter what's popular, no matter what the market is interested in right now, when you go out and you are doing something that is distinctly you, that is innovative, where you're really a committed artist, people see that and you draw the kind of people to you that you want to draw to you, that are going to be interested in and appreciative of that kind of art. It's hard though. Like, I always thought that I wanted to be a cult artist. I just want a small, committed number of people who really get what I'm trying to do and who draw meaning or value or a sense of connection to the work that I create. To a certain extent, I still feel that way, but there are also times when I'm like, you know what? A lot of those cult artists die young and poor. And what we do is expensive. Hello! But I really struggle with, is professionalism something I want? On the one hand, I think it would be great to have more performance opportunities. It would be nice to have a little bit more income. At the same time, I worry that I would sacrifice something as far as the freedom to do whatever the fuck that I want in terms of my look or my performance. Being that I am friends with a lot of people in the industry that really rely on this income, I have a little bit of trouble with the idea of going in and competing with them for work that would just be, kind of an extra thing for me. What I love right now is that I can just go out and I can dress up, put a look together, go out and have fun anytime I want. I feel like if I was professional, every single time I went out unpaid, I would have to think about whether that was a good idea, career-wise. Because if people are getting me unpaid, why would they pay me? I'm a multimedia artist, I'm an author, and I do a range of performance work, and none of what I have done has really generated much income yet. And on the one hand, that's hard because you want to be able to have the freedom to spend more time doing it, to have the resources to do what you love. But on the other hand, there can be strings that come along with the money that can inhibit it just being an art. Now it's a job. Even when we love our work, there can be a little bit of a love-hate relationship with something that's a job. And that's kind of what I'm afraid of. I'm trying to remember how that related to this question of competition and the market and whether you're worried about it being flooded or oversaturated. I think any time that there's a lot of people out there trying to do something, it gets a little bit harder and that you have to work harder to prove yourself. But we should be doing that anyway. We should try to be unique, especially since I'm not necessarily in this to make a living. I think that there's always space to go out there. And in the meantime, the audience is so much more receptive. Although people have criticized Drag Race for prioritizing different kinds of drag over other kinds, I think that it has represented a diversity. And from what I've seen, being out there in the world, in the clubs, and talking to people, I think the people that are fans, that are interested in drag right now, are receptive to a lot of different kinds. They just want to see, something eye-catching. And so I think as long as people go out there being their most interesting self, There's always space for that. There's a space for as many people as possible because that brings up the quality of everyone to a certain extent. Seriously, let's saturate the world with art. Let's saturate it with drag. Let's saturate it with beauty so people have to make their way through the mess. Bring it on as much as possible. Why the fuck not, you know? Go for it. Thank you, Katana Rei, for asking for my opinion on it, though, because I think that it's one of my favorite topics that the Queens of the Week have taken on. Go watch their videos if you haven't, and chime in. Thanks.